in fact, of your own decision and initiative. It did not flow from any instruction of the National Commissioner, because SS9 doesn't contain any instruction to implement. Now you can comment.
What happened is that the National Commissioner after I received this thing from Brigadier Tuku, this email from Brigadier Tuku, I did speak to the National Commissioner telephonically, and he said to me, just make sure that you prepare that report, because the minister wants it by the 20th, but at least let me get it by the 14th when on my return to work. And I said, no, it will be ready. And then I've also approached General Rabi as advice, and then he said, okay, I'll also give him a call, which he did, give him a call. Now, I want to say that whatever that I implemented, it was just based on a common understanding that we are acting on this directive by the minister. At that point in time, no one ever expected that this could lead to this mountainous problem that we are now dealing with, because it was just all in the performance of our duties at that point in time. And I believe you, me, commissioners, the National Commissioner of the South African Police Service, what he says is final. There's no way I'll argue with the National Commissioner at any given moment, in his office, in his absence, telephonically, or what, because once he may ask you to say, can you please, but it's an instruction. So all I'm saying is that whatever that he says, I would not deviate from what the National Commissioner said.
Except that, I think what is important in what you have said, General, is you say, everything that I did, I acted on the common understanding that we are giving effect. We are all giving effect to the minister's decision. That I can accept. That's how you acted. If indeed that's how you acted. Yes. What I was taking issue with and debating with you is, it's a misrepresentation to say Brigadier Letoko's email contained an instruction from the National Commissioner to implement the deactivation. That's the issue that I was taking with you. And I take it because in that document, nowhere does it say that. So we are back to you saying things that are not reflected in a document. That's really what my debate is with you. If you say I acted because I was just doing my job, the minister has given an instruction, and I thought we are all on the same team, we all want to implement immediately and deactivate, that's why I went ahead and gave instructions, that's your story. That's your explanation of your behavior. What you cannot do is, for that behavior, you cannot rely on SS9 and then use it to say the National Commissioner is being dishonest when he says he did not give me instructions to implement immediately, because that's what you're doing. And it's problematic for that reason, that he did not say that to you, not on SS9, maybe on the phone. If you want to say on the phone, that's what he told me, or in an email, that's what he told me, then we'll say to you, fine, let's see. But if you're relying on SS9, which is what you've been doing since you sat on the stand, and in your statement, if you're relying on SS9, no, SS9 does not give you that instruction. You drew it from somewhere else, not from SS9.
May I comment, Chair?
Yes, you may.
This words that says the National Commissioner is not being honest when he says that, if many will remember, after the 6th of July press briefing by General Mkhwanazi, at some point the National Commissioner was asked by the media, were you aware that he's going to make such a press conference? He said, yes, he told me. And did you give such order that this team be disbanded? He said, I never gave anyone any instruction. And then based on that, from my side, knowing that I have an email that directed me, that is how I approach it, to say, but the National Commission is not being honest here, because
Right, the email, if you have another email, point us to it. Let's stop doing this, this secular discussion. If you have another email, by all means, introduce it. SS9, and now I'm putting it to you. SS9 does not instruct you to implement the deactivation. It doesn't. If that instruction was ever given by the National Commissioner, it's contained somewhere else, and you are free to refer us to that. But we can't keep doing this where you are insisting that the National Commissioner told me to implement the deactivation and he did that in SS9. It doesn't. And it's problematic that you insist that SS9 contains such an instruction. It doesn't. On any construction, it doesn't.
Just a last comment for me on this one, if I'm allowed, Chair.
Yes, you are. You may comment.
If there was this letter from the minister, then there is the email that comes from the National Commissioner's office, and there is a presentation in Parliament that speaks about the fact that the minister has issued an instruction to the directive to the National Commissioner, and there's been several meetings and consultative meetings held, and that we are now implementing, and this is how it's going to happen. As far as I'm concerned, there has been an agreement all the way that this is emanating from that letter, going to the directive by the National Commissioner, going to even up to Parliament and saying and coming up with an implementation plan. To me, the cycle is completed. But if it is rejected by the commissioners, I will accept it as well.
General, the National Commissioner implements with General Khumalo. We know that. He goes to General Khumalo and says, prepare a plan for me. So he is doing something arising from that letter from the minister. You do your own thing. And what you do is not based on anything that the National Commissioner asked you to do. He asked you to communicate, which you do. You communicate. 2, he says, prepare an activation plan, which you do. You present it to him on the 14th. But you do a 3rd thing. You implement immediately. You give instructions to implement and deactivate. That is not contained anywhere in writing that we have seen. It's not in SS9, and if you're and so far you've relied only on SS9. So, and if that's the only thing you're relying on, what I'm putting to you is SS9 doesn't give you that instruction, so you acted without instruction, because that's what you're relying on. It follows. You acted without instruction, and that's what it is, General. You can comment lastly, whatever the chair allows you to do, but I don't think there's any point in doing this, because we are going around cycle. You insist that you acted on the basis of SS9, and I guess we'll evaluate it for what it is. But that is your evidence. I guess we have to accept your evidence is you acted on SS9.
Feel free to comment, General.
I feel oppressed, Chair.
No, feel free to comment.
I feel oppressed in a sense that this is an official process. It's not a private process. It's an official process coming from the minister to the National Commissioner to me. We are all in it. Now, when the National Commissioner chose to do something with General Khumalo, which he never alerted me to. He never said to me, leave it, I will do it. And then went and did it somewhere with General Khumalo when I don't know. And I kept on communicating and doing things, hoping that I'm doing that, what the National Commissioner also expects me to do. And then in the meantime, later, it transpired that, he was doing his own thing. But what pains me the most is the fact that even the same letter that I know is going around in circle, but even the same letter, this letter, comes from the National Commissioner's office. Now, although I own it because I had to sign it, it just kills me to see how the commissioners are rejecting it, that it comes from the National Commissioner's office. It was prepared from the National Commissioner's office, even though I signed it, I accept that. But be that as it may, Chair, I accept, and I don't want to really make the commissioners angry. I accept this point, and whatever direction it takes, I'll accept it, Chair.
Thank you, General. Thank you, Chair.
Chair.
Shouldn't we perhaps take the adjournment at this stage? Were you moving on to a new point, Ms. Hassan?
I had one last thing to round up
All right.
on
No,
this
no, no.
and then
That's-
move on to, so,
That's in.
I mean,